After covering the costs of my brother's wedding, I checked my account and found that $8,400 had disappeared. Mom laughed. You can't do anything. Trembling, I reached in my bag. Don't worry about what happens next. Amid their laughter, a loud noise shook the house. When they saw WHO entered next. Yesterday was my younger brother Ted's wedding. My boyfriend, Ian, who's a lawyer, and I were getting ready to return to Seattle. Before checking out of the hotel, I opened my banking app to pay the hotel bill, but the number on the screen froze me in place. Ian. My voice trembled. What is it? My account, $8,400 is gone from my account. Gone? What do you mean? Ian looked over my shoulder at the screen. I pointed at the number with a trembling hand. There was over $10,000 here last weekend. Now there's only $1,600. Ian frowned and took my phone. He quickly checked the transaction history and saw a series of unfamiliar transfers. $2,000 toward a credit card payment under my sister Amelia's name. $4,000 to an account under the name of her husband, Nicholas. $2,400 to my mother's account. All of it was done last night while I was in the shower. I was at a loss for words. I didn't make these transactions. Someone accessed your account. Ian's voice was low and edged with anger. Anna, we need to contact the bank immediately. As we came down to the hotel lobby, my mother called. The timing was strange. Anna? Thank you for yesterday. Ted was really happy. Her voice was as normal as ever. Mom, I need to ask you something. I tried to sound calm. There were several $1,000s transferred from my account yesterday. Do you know anything about that? After a brief pause, she laughed brightly. Oh, that. It was actually less than I expected. Her words froze me. What do you mean? Amelia said so. She saw your account had more money than she thought, so we decided to split it. My mind went blank. Nicholas said you always have money, but no real use for it. Just think of it as a wedding gift for Ted, okay? Ian noticed my expression and came closer. I put the call on the speaker. Mom, that's theft. My voice trembled. Oh, don't be so dramatic. We're family, aren't we? You always think only about yourself. You're single and make a high salary. Of course, you should help your family. Ian took the phone from my hand. Hello, I'm Anna's boyfriend. What you've done is illegal. Withdrawing money from her account without her permission is a crime. Oh, the lawyer. Stay out of family matters, will you? Her voice grew colder. I took the phone back. Mom, how did you access my account? Ask Amelia. She did it. And with that, she hung up. We left the hotel and got into the car. Ian silently held my hand. Let's go to my parents' house, I said firmly. I want to hear the truth directly. 30 minutes later, we were standing at my parents' front door. Before I knocked, Ian placed a hand on my shoulder. Stay calm. Don't let emotions take over. I nodded and knocked. A voice came from inside. It was Nicholas. My father opened the door. Oh, Anna, I thought you were leaving already. I walked straight to the living room. Amelia, Nicholas, and my mother were there. Nicholas still had a smile on his face. I was sure he was the one I had heard laughing earlier. They had been talking about something, but fell silent when I entered. How did you access my account? My voice shook. Amelia shrugged. In the hotel room while you were in the shower. Your password was easy. You always use the same one. Why? My voice was hoarse. Nicholas replied. Why? Because we needed the money. You live a luxurious life alone, but we have kids to raise. He spoke as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Lounging on the sofa. Anger surged inside me. Don't try to justify stealing. Anna, don't make such a big deal out of this. My mother said it in a tone meant to calm me down. My father, still seated, opened his newspaper. Keep your voice down. Ian stepped forward. Anna has supported all of you for years. She gave Harry an expensive birthday gift. She bought Margaret a game console. Isn't that enough? Amelia scoffed. That's just her duty, isn't it? Anna's single, no kids. We have responsibilities. Harry's lessons, Margaret's school, all of it costs money. Nicholas, still smiling, added, it was only a small portion of your money anyway. You make a lot, don't you? I felt a flood of memories flash before my eyes like a slideshow. The list of wants Amelia had sent for Harry's 10th birthday. Even the cheapest item was over $300. I had wanted to say no, but my mother said, you're not going to give your niece anything? You're better off than the rest of us. And in the end, I bought an expensive tablet. Now those moments look different to me. I wasn't blessed, I was being used. I want it back, I said firmly. Every cent. Right now. Nicholas laughed again. That's impossible. It's already gone. We used it for Ted's wedding gift to pay off some debts and a little shopping. Shopping? Amelia answered. The smartwatch Nicholas wanted. The same one you were flaunting. My head spun. Flaunting? That was a gift from Ian to celebrate my promotion, something precious to me. Anna, my mother said. You always overreact. We're family. It's only natural to lend and borrow money. Lend and borrow? Ian said. This is theft. My father raised his head for the first time. Young lawyer, don't be dramatic. Don't bring the law into a family matter. I stood frozen. This was my family. The people I had loved and supported. But to them, I was just an ATM. Anna, let's go, Ian said, placing a hand on my shoulder. There's no point in staying. As we walked toward the door, Amelia called out from behind. Don't be so mad. With your salary, you'll make it back in no time. And we truly needed that money more than you. When I turned around, she looked like she meant every word. Not a trace of guilt, as if I was selfish for trying to protect my own money. Goodbye, I said. Don't ever contact me again. When I got into the car, the tears came. How can a family be this cruel? I rested my head against the steering wheel and cried. Ian silently rubbed my back. Anna, I wasn't joking earlier. This really is a crime. What they did is illegal access and theft. But their family, that doesn't give them the right to hurt you, he said, his eyes serious. Think about it. If a stranger stole $8,400 from your account, wouldn't you go straight to the police? I nodded. Then why should it be okay just because they're family? If anything, they should be the ones protecting and respecting you. His words echoed inside me. On the way back, we decided to stop by Ted's apartment. He was supposed to leave for his honeymoon soon, but said he was still packing. When he opened the door, he looked tired. Anna? What's wrong? I thought you'd already left. What happened? Looking at my face, Ted seemed to sense something serious had occurred. $8,400 was stolen from my account. Amelia, Nicholas, and Mom and Dad seemed to be involved. Ted's face was drained of color. What? While I was taking a shower at the hotel, Amelia apparently used my phone to transfer the money. Ted silently held his head in his hands. No way. He was at a loss for words. I knew Amelia and Nicholas had been talking about money a lot lately, but I never imagined they'd do something like this. Mom and Dad said not to worry about it because it was a wedding gift for you, Ian said quietly. Ted looked up, eyes filled with anger. I didn't know anything. I never asked them to do that. Anna, please believe me. I do, Ted. I'm not blaming you, I said, placing a hand on my brother's shoulder. What are you going to do? Ted asked nervously. I don't know yet, but I can't just let this go. Yeah. What they did was wrong, he said, choosing his words carefully. But if possible, please don't do anything that will break up the family. I'm not the one who broke this family, I said coldly. Ted gave a small nod. I know. It's just he trailed off. Anna, we should get going, Ian said, trying to ease the tension. Ted walked us to the door and gave me an awkward hug. Anna, I'm really sorry. I wish there were more I could do. I gently patted his back. I didn't want to ruin your wedding. My wedding isn't as important as how you feel, Ted said, though his eyes showed hesitation. He was torn, wanting to protect me while also trying to maintain his ties with the rest of the family. Back at our apartment, we sat in silence for a long time. Ian was in the kitchen making coffee, occasionally glancing at me. Feeling any calmer? He asked, handing me a mug. I nodded silently and said in a trembling voice, I can't believe this. That this actually happened. I never realized they were using me. Ian held my hand. Because you're kind. Because you trusted your family. But this time is different. They accessed my account without permission and stole my money. Ian thought for a moment. Anna, this is clearly a crime. You have the right to take legal action. You mean report them to the police? My own family? Yes. They're the ones who did something wrong. Not you. The next morning, Ian left early saying he had some things to look into. I stayed home from work and spent the whole day in the apartment. In the afternoon, Ian returned. Take a look at this, he said, carrying a large file. He spread it out on the living room table, materials on financial crimes and a detailed guide on how to gather evidence of unauthorized access. I consulted with a colleague at my firm who specializes in financial crime, Ian explained. According to her, financial exploitation by family members is more common than we think. Single high-income earners tend to be targets. I flipped through the documents. Is all of this really necessary? They're my family. Ian looked serious. Anna, what they did was a crime. If you don't do anything this time, they'll just do it again. And next time it could be for even more. So what should I do? First, we collect evidence, he said. Bank statements, signs of unauthorized access, past transfer records, all of it. From that day on, I began reviewing my financial records for the past 3 years in detail. I sorted everything chronologically: bank statements, transfer records, emails, text messages. There's so much, I said in disbelief, opening the file. Just in the past year, the total amount I had sent or loaned to my family exceeded $15,000. The list went on and on. This isn't normal, I said as I looked at the list. This is one-sided exploitation. Another thing I noticed was the pattern in how they asked for money. They would start with sweet words, and when I hesitated, they'd say things like, "We're family," or "You're more fortunate than us," to make me feel guilty. And finally, they would end with blame. "You're selfish." It's mind control. Over the weekend, Ian brought over a lawyer friend. Her name was Sonia, and she specialized in financial crime. "Anna, this is a clear case of financial abuse. Just because they're family doesn't make it acceptable. But think about it. If this were about Ian, and a stranger had stolen $8,400 from his account, what would you tell him?" "I'd tell him to report it to the police." "And what if it were his parents or siblings?" I fell silent. "A crime is a crime," Sonia said. "Being family doesn't mean they get a free pass. In fact, because they're family, it's an even deeper betrayal." Her words pierced my heart. Ian spoke quietly. "Anna, I'll support whatever decision you make. But you're not alone. We're in this together. Because I love my family, I have to stop their behavior. They don't respect me. They ignore my feelings and have betrayed my trust." I made up my mind. "Ian, let's do it. I'll report this to the Financial Crimes Division." He exhaled with relief. "You're making the right choice, Anna." We scheduled an appointment with the Financial Crimes Division. The officer in charge was a woman named Taylor. "Miss Moore, please tell me the full situation," she said. I began explaining in a trembling voice. What happened on the night of the wedding, the $8,400 that vanished from my account, my family's reaction, and the pattern of exploitation over the last 3 years. Taylor listened quietly, occasionally taking notes. Ian sat beside me, adding technical explanations when needed. "Do you have any evidence?" Taylor asked. Ian handed over a prepared folder. Bank records, evidence of unauthorized access, patterns of previous transfers, emails, and text message conversations. After thoroughly reviewing the contents, Taylor looked up. "Miss Moore, this is clear evidence of financial crime. There are signs of unauthorized access, theft, and possibly long-term financial abuse. What happens next?" I asked nervously. "First, we'll begin a preliminary investigation. That includes interviews with involved parties, gathering further evidence, and verifying the legal criteria for the crime. If enough evidence is found, we'll forward the case to the prosecutor." I took a deep breath. "Will they be arrested?" "It depends on the circumstances. However, actions such as freezing accounts or seizing assets may be taken." The reality of the situation began to sink in. My own family might face legal consequences. "Are you having doubts?" Taylor asked gently. I shook my head. "No, it's just they're my family, Miss Moore," she said seriously. "One of the most common cases we handle involves financial crimes committed by family or close relations. You are a victim. Please don't blame yourself." Those words felt like something inside me had been released. I was a victim, and victims have the right to seek justice. "Please proceed with the investigation," I said with resolve. The next morning, my phone was flooded with text messages and missed calls, all from my family. The first message was from Amelia. "Anna, did you really report us to the police? They're saying our accounts might be frozen. I can't pay Harry's tuition or take Margaret to her dance lessons. I can't believe you do this to us." Next came a message from Nicholas, and then one from my mother. "Anna, what have you done? The police came to the house. What will the neighbors think? You've brought shame to this family. Please withdraw the report immediately. Your father says his heart is hurting. What if something happens to him because of you?" I replied with only one line. "That's your own doing. I don't care." There's no going back to the version of me who allowed herself to be used. The next day, when I returned home from work, Amelia was standing in front of my apartment. Her eyes were red, and her makeup was smudged. "Anna," she shouted the moment she saw me. "Why are you doing this? We're family." "Amelia," I said, keeping my distance. "If you want to talk, I'll call Ian." "That lawyer?" She scoffed. "He's the one controlling you. You weren't like this before you met him. You used to care about your family." Caring about family and being exploited are two different things, I said with a trembling voice. "Exploited?" Amelia raised her voice. "All we did was ask for help. Now Nicholas might lose his job because the police contacted his company. What about Harry and Margaret? Have you even thought about them?" At that moment, I felt a wave of anger. Have I thought about them? I've always thought about everyone else. But did anyone think about me? When you stole money from my account, did any of you think about me? Amelia took a step back. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. You've changed," she murmured. "That's right, I have changed, because I'm done being used." A few days later, Ted came to visit. I heard everything about the police investigation. "Ted, I didn't have a choice." "I know, but everyone's panicking. Especially Amelia, she's scared for the kids. That's their problem. They're the ones who stole from me." Ted let out a deep sigh. "Ted, are you taking their side?" No, he answered immediately. He stared silently at the floor. Is there anything I can do? Any way I can help? If you really are on my side, tell them what they did was wrong, and that they owe me an apology. I'll try talking to them, he said weakly, but I don't know if they'll listen. After Ted left, Ian wrapped his arm around my shoulder. Are you okay? Yeah. It just hurts seeing Ted caught in the middle. He didn't do anything wrong. He has to choose where he stands. And it's clear who's in the right, Ian said gently. A few days later, Ian came to me with important news. Amelia and Nicholas are going to be prosecuted for unauthorized access and theft. Your parents are under investigation for conspiracy. Are they going to prison? My voice was quiet. In the end, that's up to the judge, Ian explained. But since it's their first offense, there's a high chance the sentence will be suspended. Still, they'll most likely be ordered to repay the stolen money and cover damages. That night, I received a phone call from my father for the first time. Anna. His voice sounded tired. Why are you doing this? The police even conducted a house search. They took my computer. Dad. I'm the victim here. Victim? He said bitterly. You're destroying your own family. Your mother can't sleep. Amelia is hysterical, and Nicholas has been suspended from work. The house is at risk of foreclosure. Is this what you wanted? I took a deep breath. This is the consequence of all your actions. It's not my fault. There was silence on the other end. You're no longer our daughter. You betrayed this family, and you're not welcome back. After the call ended, I collapsed to the floor. I wanted to cry, but no tears came. Instead, a strange sense of release spread through my chest. His words hurt, but at the same time, it felt like the chains that had bound me for years had finally broken. That weekend, Officer Taylor contacted me again. Amelia Walker and Nicholas Walker have been formally charged. As for your parents, due to insufficient evidence, they will not face criminal charges. However, they may still bear civil liability. There will be a preliminary hearing next week. After that, the trial date will be scheduled. She hesitated for a moment before continuing. Miss Moore, have you experienced any pressure or threats from your family? I recalled my father's final words. They've disowned me. That must be difficult. Taylor said sympathetically. But your safety is our top priority. If needed, we can consider a restraining order. I told Ian everything. What my father had said, and how I felt cut off from my family. Anna, you're doing the right thing. Ian said. There are consequences to their actions, and it's not your fault. But I've lost my family. Real families are the ones who respect you and care about you, Ian said quietly. They didn't respect you. They ignored your boundaries and betrayed your trust. That's not what family does. A few days later, an unfamiliar envelope appeared on my desk. Inside was a letter from someone named Marty Davis. I remembered she was Nicholas's cousin Amelia's husband's relative. Dear Anna, the letter began. You may not remember me, but I'm Nicholas's cousin. We met a few times at family gatherings. I heard about what you did, and I want to thank you. I was surprised and continued reading. I was in a similar situation. My family kept borrowing money from me and never paid it back. And when I refused, they called me selfish. But hearing that you stood up for yourself gave me courage. I realized I have the right to set boundaries and say no. Thank you for your bravery. Holding the letter to my chest, I felt for the first time that what I had done was right. It wasn't revenge. It was an act of self-protection. And it was something that had empowered others like Marty. Over the weekend, Ian said, I want to take you somewhere special, just for a change of pace. He drove me to a beautiful lakeside spot outside Seattle. It was sunset, and the lake glowed orange beneath the setting sun. This place is gorgeous, I said in awe. Ian took my hand and led me to a dock by the water, where a small table and candles were set. What's all this? I wanted to make today special, he said with a smile. We enjoyed a delicious dinner, and as the stars began to appear, Ian suddenly stood up. Anna, he said, kneeling before me and pulling a small blue velvet box from his pocket. My heart started to race. These past few weeks, I've seen how strong and brave you are, Ian said seriously. You stood up for yourself. That's not easy, but you did it. He opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful diamond ring. Anna Moore. Will you marry me? Let's start a new life together, a new family. Tears rolled down my cheeks. They weren't tears of sorrow, but of release and hope. Yes, I said in a trembling voice. I'll marry you? I may have lost my blood family, but I was given the chance to create a new one. And this time it would be a healthy relationship, one built on mutual respect. The investigation period ended, and the court date was set. A few days before that, I received an unexpected message. It was from Ted. Anna, he approached me hesitantly. Can we talk for a moment? Of course, I've been thinking a lot. He began, choosing his words carefully. You're right, completely right. What they did is inexcusable. I'm going to testify today. On your side. I was speechless with surprise. Ted went on to explain. I knew that Amelia and Nicholas had been planning this for a while. I even knew they were going to use the wedding as a cover. Really? Yeah, he said, looking down in shame. But I couldn't stop them. I was scared. Scared it would tear the family apart. I placed a hand on his shoulder. Ted, this isn't your fault. No. I'm complicit too, he said, looking me in the eye. But I can't stay silent anymore. It's time to tell the truth. I'm sure Mom and Dad will disown me too, but that's okay. Doing the right thing matters more. In court, Ted's testimony became the deciding factor. He testified that our parents had also been involved in the plan, and that Amelia and Nicholas had previously planned similar borrowings multiple times. The day of the preliminary hearing arrived. Amelia and Nicholas appeared with their lawyer. Their faces were stiff, and the looks they gave me were filled with anger. The judge reviewed the evidence and scheduled the official trial date. For my protection, the judge also issued a temporary restraining order against the entire family. As we were leaving the courthouse, I met Amelia's gaze for the first time. What I saw on her face wasn't just anger anymore, it was fear. The kind that comes when someone begins to understand the gravity of what they've done. Ian placed his hand on my shoulder. You okay? Yes, I nodded. I'm okay now. That evening, we went to a restaurant in the Seattle suburbs to celebrate our engagement with Ian's parents. They knew about my situation and expressed deep sympathy. You're part of our family now, Ian's mother, Estella, said. Family means taking care of one another and treating each other with respect. Tears welled up in my eyes at her words. It was the moment I truly understood what a real family looked like. As we left the restaurant, Ted was waiting outside. Ted, I said, surprised, and hugged him. What are you doing here? I heard from Ian, he said shyly. Congratulations, really? I looked at Ian. He was smiling. He's your family. Your true family. Ted, what will you do now? I asked with concern. I'll be okay, he answered confidently. I'm planning to find a new job in Seattle. In Seattle? Yeah, he nodded. I want to be close to you as a real family. His words filled my heart with warmth. I hadn't lost everything. I still had my brother, Ted, and I was beginning to build a new family. A few weeks later, I received another message from Marty Davis. This time, it was an email. Dear Anna, thanks to you, I've started reclaiming my own life. Your courage inspired me to say no to my family. I didn't take legal action like you did, but your story is reaching many people. You helped me realize that we don't have to silently endure exploitation just because it's done in the name of family. After reading her email, I took a deep breath. The knowledge that my actions were giving others strength filled me with warmth. And then the official trial began. Amelia and Nicholas pleaded guilty during the arraignment. Their lawyer requested a suspended sentence, citing financial hardship and the presence of children. The judge considered all the evidence and mitigating circumstances before delivering the verdict. The defendants are hereby sentenced to 3 years of probation for the crimes of unauthorized access and theft. They are ordered to repay the stolen amount of $8,400 and pay $5,000 in damages for emotional distress. Furthermore, they must comply with a 5-year restraining order prohibiting contact with the victim. As I left the courthouse, I felt unexpectedly clear and calm. This wasn't revenge. It was justice. And it was self-defense. That night, the local news covered the case. Under the title, The Reality of Financial Crimes Within Families, my case was introduced anonymously. It became a trigger for raising awareness about financial abuse committed by family members. After the broadcast, messages began appearing in my social media inbox. Strangers shared that they, too, had suffered in similar situations. Thank you for your courage. You've given me the strength to stand up. Messages like these poured in. Ian smiled beside me. Look, Anna, you're becoming a symbol of hope for so many people. 60 days passed after the verdict, and the payment deadline came and went. Then surprising news arrived. The court's orders had been enforced. Amelia and Nicholas's bank accounts were frozen. Some of their assets were seized to cover the damages. In addition, Nicholas's company terminated his employment. The reason was his conviction for financial crime. According to one of Ian's colleagues, their house was now at risk of foreclosure. Because of the court's enforcement, they could no longer pay the mortgage. The day after the restraining order was issued, more news broke. Nicholas had been officially dismissed by his employer due to the criminal charges. Ian's colleague also told us their house was in danger. With their bank accounts frozen, the mortgage could no longer be paid. Apparently, my parents were facing similar circumstances. Hearing all this, guilt briefly flickered in my chest. But I quickly recalled Ian's words. This is the result of their actions. It's not your fault. At last, I felt like I had reclaimed myself. I could feel my life moving in a new direction, freed from the chains once labeled family. This time, I would build bonds with a true family.